Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Christopher. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, we were chatting briefly there. You just came out of hip surgery, is that right?
That's right. Well, one of the funny way to start off the show, ultra medical. Me, I'm a disability social model guy, but sometimes, some things are medical. And I'll say why impact. Well, anyway, look, what I want you to see is obviously not what I don't want you to see. We have to be real careful about that. But hopefully, you might be able to see my scar.
Oh, yes, yeah. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, right. So that was 4.5 weeks ago. I had that, and I had bad osteoarthritis in both hips because I've hit the wonderful age of 60, and I think having short arms. I think any of the viewers or disabled people would understand that I probably use my legs more than the average person. To reach things, to grab things and what have you. My toe grip is phenomenal, etc. But also kickboxing for the last 27 years has resulted in me sort of wearing them out, basically. So I just had a hip surgery. I don't know whether you're familiar with my subgroup of impairment, which is thalidomiders. We're born because our mothers took the birth control pill thalidomide, the morning sickness pill thalidomide. There's a lot in Canada, 15 in America, many in Europe. But a lot of us around this age are experiencing having to get new hips. And here's what's interesting. There's the person with short arms running through my life, doing the things the way I do, picking up my coffee, all well and good, doing it Matt style. Yeah. Suddenly all that had to change when I had my hip surgery because you're not allowed to bend more than four. You're not allowed to bend more forward than 90 degrees. And I'm like this. And I'm like, And I literally, that's my starter position to reach anything. So thankfully, Julie, my very talented and glamorous and lovely wife, has been my rock. And I publicly thank her for the way she's helped me through this. But I'm free of pain. It's much better. Hallelujah, the National Health Service. Because it was all free. Okay, we're here to talk about my career, so I beg your pardon, Christopher.
Well, actually, on that point, you were talking about the 27 years you spent in the martial arts field. I mean, not many people know this, but you have a second-degree black belt. You studied Aikido, Taekwondo, Choi Kwang Do, and you practiced the discipline of dynamic self-discipline.
That's right. Look, and amazingly, just because we had a rejuge in the office, those are the certificates above my head of some of those martial arts. Yeah. When I was 37, I got my black belt, my serious black belt. And I suppose that was the hardest I'd ever worked physically to attain anything. The notion of the super grip, the disabled person that pushes himself beyond what their body might consider okay activity to get up to the level of everybody else who have the long arms in my case. No doubt that contributed to my early wear and tear and my subsequent hip operation. Would I change it? I don't think I would, Christopher, because
beautiful.
I really enjoy martial arts. I really enjoyed bashing things. The safe confine of a sporting environment, but experiencing the adrenaline of genuine jeopardy, as in them or me. Not something that a disabled person is often invited to experience,
Yeah.
Although non-disabled people might not know this, we actually experience it every day in many microaggressions in different ways. But that's what I was talking about. So yeah, martial arts has always been part of my life. Beautiful. My mum was a dancer. My wife is a dancer. I'm around a lot of people that like to do do practice with their bodies of some kind of physical discipline, yoga and Pilates people and what have you. And this goes across disabled and non-disabled people.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, your wife was actually named Miss Coney Island at one point.
I met her on May the 5th, 2006, on the stage of Sideshows by the Seashore down in Coney Island when she was Miss Coney Island. And I introduced her and she did her famous act of the hand, which is where one of her hands becomes possessed by the devil.
Yes.
And does her away, basically. And also takes all her clothes off because it was a strip show. And we've been together ever since.
So with your martial arts career and your background, and I love these stories, you starred in a movie called Kung Fu Fluid in 2009. Now, you were compared to Bruce Willis. Now, did any particular martial arts study help you with that role? Like, was Hapkido or Taekwondo better for you in that role, or like?
Well, Christopher, it was an interesting one. I mean, as an actor who does martial arts, I'd fantasized my whole life that I'd be in a fight film. And that, would it be your Southern Kung Fu is not as good as my Northern Shaolin, I will beat you. And I love all those old fashioned Hong Kong films, And I was hoping for a bit of that. However, what ended up happening was that there's a group of film people and producers and actors in London that we might term gangster actors. Like all their films are about the firm will do the bank job, gangsters, drug dealers, all of that business, the rough stuff. And it was those people that wanted to make the film. And their style of fighting is very post MMA, in the pub, sudden reaction, headbutt glass, know. So unfortunately, I didn't get to do that sort of well choreographed stuff, which I would have loved to have done and could have done, but we didn't get the opportunity. And I know it's it's not the world's best film. I'll be the first to admit it, Christopher.
Listen, I saw the trailer and I loved it.
The trailer's good because they got a special trailer guy in to make the trailer, and he got paid like more than I did, I think. But it was more than worth its weight in gold because it actually manages to make the film look not awful.
Beautiful.
You said, but I didn't get paid. It took 3 weeks to do. I'll never be in an action film again. It had never been done before by a disabled person. I really wanted to do it, and so I did it. A lot of the time in my career, Christopher, I've done stuff that the sensible Matt on the right-hand shoulder, if you will.
Sure.
And the bad Matt goes, "Go on, Matt, do it." No, don't. I've kind of ignored this one and just done it. And that's got me into trouble sometimes, stuff I've regretted. Not much, I hope, thankfully. But a lot of the times it's scored a goal, the way I got American Horror Story was because Julie and me decided that we'd done a lot of sort of cabaret shows. We wanted to do a theatre piece and use Beauty and the Beast, the myth, to house a story of our own romance around in a parallel story with Beauty and the Beast that did great business and got rave reviews in the theatre. We did end up naked for the last sort of 10 minutes or so of it, in pretend.
Now, this was the 18 plus show, and if I recall, you were doing something or implementing something called Naked Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just get to Naked Wednesdays in a second.
Sure.
No, I've lost the point of that because Naked Wednesdays does pull focus. So we had to be naked for the last about 30 minutes of the show, actually, but and then pretend sexual for the last sort of 10 minutes.
Right.
It was a story about us being in show business and about us being romantic partners. And so by the time we got to the lovemaking scene, it was a kind of pastiche of all the positions, kind of like the sex scene in the puppet film Team America.
Right.
If anybody remembers that. In bad taste, yes. But, a bit of behind, bit of reverse, we went through all the things because it's a payoff to stuff we'd set up earlier in the piece.
Of course.
And me and Julie are very used to getting naked and doing that. However, there were two puppeteers in the show, and a director and a production manager and a stage manager. And we were all in the same room rehearsing. And, especially in Britain, maybe not so much in Canada, but or America, I wouldn't know, but in Britain, you can't just get naked in a rehearsal room in a theatre piece and expect people not to be freaked out. They freak out. So we said, okay, we've got a month to do this. How about every Wednesday, everybody has to get as naked as they feel comfortable?
Sure.
And that's just the rule. Friends are not invited in on Wednesday to watch rehearsal. We'll keep it to the core team. We'll paper over the glass bit in the door and we'll proceed accordingly. So me and Julie were completely naked from the beginning because we had to show by example.
Right.
And everyone was in underwear on the first one, comfortable enough. I think a couple of bras came off in the afternoon. And then by the second Wednesday, everyone had, pretty much gone for it. The stage manager point blank refused to have anything to do with it. Julia was not playing ball. She just was like, no. That's her prerogative, right?
Of course.
But, and I do maintain this when there's nothing wrong with the naked body. It's not necessarily a sexual thing. We have made it so in society. But after a bit of exposure of just talking about sandwiches or how you're going to get that effect, that theatre, what lighting you're going to use, or what bit of text you need to cut, or a normal rehearsal scene situation, the nudity just becomes nothing. and we all realised that we can be comfortable. So it actually worked out really well. I would advise anyone who has nudity in the show that it makes the nude people in the show feel much better if everyone can get naked. But good luck with that, because it doesn't
Beautiful. Well, we got to take a quick break here, but we'll be right back.